I wondered how fast I could get out my sword, how many giants I could kill. I wondered if Otis and Marvin would be any good in a fight. Probably too much to hope for that they were trained to goat foo.
There we are, Loki said. Now, let's have the bride lift her veil, eh? Just to make sure everyone's playing fairly.
Alex's hands jerked upward like they were on marionette strings. She began to lift her veil. The cave was silent except for the bubbling of hot springs and the constant drip of poison into the Stygian cup. Alex pushed her veil back over her head, revealing Samira's face. For a second, I panicked. Had the girls somehow switched places? Then I realized, I don't know how, maybe something in her eyes, that Alex was still Alex. She'd shapeshifted to look like Sam, but whether or not that would fool Loki. I curled my fingers around my pendants. The silence was long enough for me to begin mentally composing my will.
Well, Loki said at last, I must admit, I'm a bit surprised. You actually followed my orders. Good girl. I suppose that means your maid of honor is...
Stygian's cup slipped, sloshing poison into Loki's face. Ah! The god screamed and writhed in his bonds. The girls quickly retreated. Stygian righted her bowl. She tried to wipe the venom from Loki's eyes with her sleeve, but that only made him scream more. Her hem came away smoking and full of holes.
Stupid woman!
Loki wailed. For a moment, Stygian seemed to meet my gaze, though it was hard to be sure with those solid red eyes. Her expression did not change. The tears kept flowing. But I wondered if she had spilled that poison on purpose. I didn't know why she would. As far as I knew, she'd been kneeling at her husband's side faithfully for centuries. Still, it seemed an oddly timed mistake. Thringa cleared her throat. A beautiful sound, like a chainsaw cutting through mud.
You asked about the maid of honor, Lord Loki. She says her name is Prudence.
Loki cackled, still trying to blink the poison from his eyes.
I'm sure she did. Her name is Alex Fierro, and I told her to come for today. But no matter, because I had told her not to come. But let us proceed. Thringa, have you brought the special guest I requested?
The giantess curled her ink-stained lips. She brought out the chestnut that she'd been tossing around earlier.
Yeah.
Your special guest is a nut? I asked. Loki laughed hoarsely.
You could say that. Go on, Thringa.
Thringa stuck her thumbnail into the shell and cracked the nut open. She tossed it onto the floor, and something small and dark rolled out. Not the meat of a chestnut, but a tiny human form. It grew into full size until a stout old man stood before me, his rumpled black tuxedo dusted with plant chaff, his cheek marked with a ghastly burn scar in the shape of a hand. Whatever optimism I'd been holding on to shed faster than Sif's golden hair.
Uncle Randolph.
Hello, Magnus, he said, his face contorted with misery.
Please, my boy, give me the snuff gun blade.
End of chapter 50.